So Camp Dynamics is our flagship summer camp. We offer it for 10 or so weeks every summer. You're able to register for either 1 week, 2 weeks, or the whole summer. It is ran by our team of licensed therapists, so our SLPs, our OTs, and our audiologists will all facilitate camp. The idea of Camp Dynamics is to create a fun but therapeutic environment. So camp is therapeutically focused for kids who are struggling with speech and language, auditory processing, social skills. We're going to target listening comprehension. We're going to target phonemic awareness. We're going to target social skills, peer interactions, while also having lots of fun. We're going to do crafts. We're going to do mindful movement or yoga. We're going to have a motor lab where we're going to facilitate movement. So Camp Dynamics is something that has evolved over literally the last decade. And so 10 years ago, I created Camp Dynamics out of my own home, had my caseload, worked with them. I wanted to have the opportunity to do some intensive work. I wanted to avoid the caseload that I had at the time, doing nothing over the summer. I wanted to maintain the success that we had had through the school year. And so it started off very small. It grew while we were in our first building, and has now 10 years later evolved into a very fine-tuned, well-oiled machine where we have student clinicians that join us, we have volunteers that join us, we are paying it forward by mentoring students as part of the Camp Dynamics group, or as part of the Camp Dynamics opportunity, while also serving most weeks up to 30 kids, all of which are going to be between the ages of mostly 5 and 12, and that are having some type of difficulty with speech, language, auditory processing, and or social skills, reading intervention, those types of things. So camp is a great opportunity for kids to get a lot of movement-based intervention. And so yes, if we have a child who is struggling with behaviors, now it is a group setting, and so it's not set up for one-on-one support. And so if we have a child who's having really significant issues, requires one-on-one intervention, then we have other options for them over the summer. And with the idea being that intensive intervention, anytime we can get it in is great, and the summer is a great time to do that. And that would be more on an individual level. Camp Dynamics is more geared towards kids, so you have to be fully potty trained, you have to be able to feed yourself, you have to be able to be successful in small group settings. And so although we can have up to 30 kids, they are all in smaller groups, and our ratio is going to be more like 5-to-1, with our licensed therapists being in the group as well as other support staff. So because of all the movement, because of all of the therapeutic focus and everything that we're doing, oftentimes kids who are unsuccessful at other camps because of behavior problems, because of attention issues, because of other types of things that are going on, they can be very successful at Camp Dynamics. So Camp Dynamics is meant to be intensive. It is a full day. So camp starts at 8:30, it goes to 3:30. All day long, we are intervening. And so if you are doing individual therapy, it would really depend on what it is that you're trying to accomplish. There are some things that are going to be better targeted and better addressed in a one-on-one situation, and our intake team is really good at helping us to figure out, okay, are you going to really benefit from Camp Dynamics? Kids who are going to really benefit from Camp Dynamics are going to be kids who need support with peer interactions and social situations, who are struggling in really large groups, really unstructured camp type settings. the ideal Camp Dynamics camper is struggling with learning. They're struggling with either reading, early reading, or reading comprehension. If you're reading at or above probably 3rd or 4th grade, then Camp Dynamics might not be the best opportunity for you over the summer, unless the social aspect of camp that is going to be facilitated, it's going to be supported by professionals who are trained and licensed in the area of language literacy, social pragmatics, that it's going to be a good opportunity for that reason. So I think that Camp Dynamics is offering a unique opportunity. The majority of the campers who will join us for the summer are getting intervention, one-on-one intervention, the majority of the year. So 10 months out of the year, they're getting one-on-one. What camp affords us as a team is the opportunity to work on things that are not as easily addressed in a one-on-one situation. Every child who attends Camp Dynamics is getting one-on-one attention, and we're focusing in that way, but it's a very small part, probably very similar to if they were getting one-on-one intervention anyway. So 20 to 30 minutes of more individualized opportunity. But the reason to send your child to Camp Dynamics versus just having them do individual is all the other benefits of camp. It is this: every single thing is purposeful, mindful. We are very strategic in the way that we're doing everything from snack to craft. There really isn't a part of the day at Camp Dynamics that is just camp. The kids might think that, but it is very therapeutic and purposeful in how we structure everything. So everything from transitioning opportunities to social opportunities to problem solving opportunities, we really are going to increase the benefit of intervention by doing things, getting way more time. And so if you're coming to camp for 4.5 days, it is Monday through Thursday all day and then a half day on Friday. So we're talking 30-ish hours a week compared to a 30-minute session, even if you're doing that twice a week. So there's huge benefit in just the increased amount of therapeutic intervention that would end up happening across the day at Camp Dynamics versus an individual one-on-one session. So one of the big goals of Camp Dynamics is to increase the thinking opportunities for the campers, creating opportunities for us to systematically transition the responsibility for thinking. And so we really try to avoid direct questions and or direct instructions, but create opportunities for problem solving, create opportunities for figuring things out and connecting the dots, which is very different from the most of the time of what they're getting at school, where teachers have to get things done. They have a very structured environment, and it's a very different type of experience where the teacher needs to just say, do this, do this, do this. Whereas at camp, we're really trying to encourage each camper to think and take more responsibility for more complex thinking across the day. So for example, instead of saying, do this, we might make a statement that is going to encourage them to think about it. Ooh, it's really hot in here, or the concrete's hot, and look down at their feet and encourage them to think about that. Why is she saying that? What do I need to do? We have more flexibility at camp to really facilitate what we refer to as dynamic thinking. This, instead of doing what I'm told, figuring out what should happen next. We really try to limit hand raising so that kids get the opportunity to look around and pay attention to the environment. We are going to systematically structure and then support really referencing your peers and noticing when you should just, like, how do we have a back and forth conversation without you having to raise your hand? At school, that structure is very necessary because their goals are very, very different. At Camp Dynamics, we've got more flexibility to create space for thinking in ways that are not necessarily going to get facilitated in the structured school setting, but are hugely important for higher level thinking and peer success and just success in general in how to think dynamically. With our camp, I would always say the more the merrier, primarily because when we're seeing a child twice a week for 30 minutes, we're really targeting intervention for that 0.006% of the week. So during the summer is our opportunity to really be intentional with our intervention. And so the best would be to come all 10 weeks. Better would be to come for more than less. There really isn't any, if you can't come for all 10 weeks, should you just not come for 1 week at all? Absolutely not. I would say you absolutely should come, and that is going to be beneficial. Is it going to be as beneficial as if you were to come for all 10 weeks and fully immerse in everything that we're doing? No, because a lot of what we're doing is also going to be cumulative. So especially with our social skills lessons, that although they stand alone, and if your child comes to week 1 and week 5, they're not going to be lost. However, week 1 builds on week 2 and 3 and 4. And so it's a very complex organization that allows each week to be optimally beneficial as they stand alone, but then even more beneficial if you layer them on top of each other. And so that is the reason that we allow people to pick and choose. We'd always encourage you to do more, but I think that 1 week of Camp Dynamics is pretty spectacular and can have some really great impacts. But where we see the biggest amount of impact is when we get kids for 6 or more weeks. Most of the kids would say it's the fun parts, the playing outside, the Water Wednesday. All the kids love. All the kids, for the most part, love Water Wednesday. I think that what I love about it is that they don't see it as work, they don't see it as intervention, they don't see it as school, that we are able to mask with intentionality what we're doing, that they really do enjoy, I think, most of it. I mean, there's definitely going to be kids who prefer parts over the other part. You're always going to have the one, just like school, what's your favorite part, lunch and recess, except for camp, a lot of it looks like recess. Because we've got so much movement. We recognize the importance of movement. We recognize the importance of the brain and the body connection and how that supports learning. So we're really never just sitting in what would feel like a classroom setting for very long.